Hey y'all, Bearder Bros Golf Show, back at it again. I'm Rod.
Shit, I'm Marcus.
All right, y'all. A lot of golf this week. A whole lot of golf all over the world. Had a major on the LPGA side. Playing up in Canada, which that one always gets, some a handful of stars playing up there. Rory McIlroy supporting the tournament as a multi-time winner there, and you know, DP World Tour teeing it up this week as well. So let's just jump into it with the DP World Tour. Just a quick little blurb on that one. So we had Lori Cantor returning to the DP World Tour this year after not hanging on to a team, not able to make the Open qualifier for Live last year,
Yeah.
which claimed 4 spots. He's 13 years on the DP World as a professional. So won his first tournament on the DP World Tour. It's very interesting, guy getting more reps, playing more, and
hmm
played himself into shape and able to win a tournament. What do you think about that one?
Oh yeah, good on him. I mean, I was looking at the leaderboard and I saw Bernd Wiesberger was up there too, like top five type deal. I mean, they paid their dues and they came on back home to where they felt most comfortable at. So, um, glad they were able to, capitalize on that, and we'll see how it goes for the rest of the season for them.
Do
We'll
you
see.
do you mean capitalize or capitalize?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's
It
all
is
stuff.
not. It is not. I'm gonna mess with you. You've been saying that. That
I've
is
said
not the
that.
same
Yeah,
thing.
right. I've said
It
that
is. It is.
before.
And I'm
Y'all, I
calling
don't
you
know
out
why
on it
he just
today.
now saying something. Yeah,
And I'm calling you out on it
June
today because it
2nd.
is not the same thing. It is not the same thing. So anyway, speaking of random, but that's Dallas Stars background. We're already down 2-0 the last time I looked over it, so not starting off on
Yeah,
the
so
strongest of footings. Yeah, man. Well, I thought they would be motivated by the Mavericks making it into the finals, but hopefully we'll get some momentum in these second and third periods. So thanks, Mom, and good evening. Alrighty. Um. So yeah, DP World Tour getting some run. I didn't watch much of it at all, actually. Just too much stuff going on this weekend. But just saw
it
that
was in
story.
Germany. It was wet. It rained a lot.
Yeah,
It was
it was
windy.
raining. Okay, I don't know, man. I mean, it's been raining in DFW like crazy. I mean, I think we've gotten rain pretty much every day this past week at some point, even if it's been in the forecast or not. It looks like it was rainy in Canada this week. It's a lot. It's raining everywhere right now. It's getting I'm kind of sick of it at this point. It's messing with my golf. Not able to play as much, and then when today was actually pretty decent, at least where I played and dried out, but it's pretty bad. Um, let's get into. I want to backtrack because we'll kind of circle back. So last week's winner, Davis Riley, or did I say that right? Davis Riley, at
hmm
the Colonial, at the Charles Schwab Challenge, getting a little bit of press run, and saw an article with him talking about his shoe choice and how the FootJoy rep, he's a Titleist guy, saw him, hitting balls, and he'd been playing a standard 11. And the guy was like, "Hey, you need to come down a full size. It looks like you're not getting the stability that you need off of your right foot." He's gone down a size, and he said it feels completely different. Feels like that contributed to him playing better and also his win last week on the PGA Tour. It got me thinking, and I've been thinking about this as well. Just looking at certain rounds, I try not to be superstitious, but I know there's a couple handful of shoes that I know that when I put them on, for whatever reason, I tend to play better. One shoe that I've played pretty well in, shot a couple of rounds in the 70s, is my Nike Air Max 90G. I've played in that shoe a couple times. It's not very well constructed. The bottom of the sole is actually separating on my left foot where I rotate and pivot, but I've played well in that shoe multiple times, and there's also a pair of FootJoys as well. Do you play better in certain shoes, or how do you feel about that?
I mean, just as an athlete, I mean, I've tried to always try to have a form fitting shoe. I mean, and I know you can speak on that too. I mean, I've never been that guy that wanted to grow into a shoe. I've always been the person that got it a little snug and just, kind of moved it around a little bit and broke it in, and then it was perfect. So my golf shoe size is 12. Um, and I've always been that way. And so like it's a little snug to start, it's a little bit snug on like the hill, and then I've played around in it or two, and then it's like the perfect size for me. So like the Pro SLs that I have right now, there's a wider base, plus that snug feel, and then there's a little more Achilles help now. I mean, I feel like
Mhm.
I've really been turning it around as far as that goes, and then I've always felt really comfortable in the 12s that we have, and then
Right.
I like the nines as well, though. Like the nines are a mid, so like I feel like it's real secure around my ankle. The cleats are really well installed, and I feel like again, if I have that size 12 and it's a little snug to start, and then by the end of the round, it's busted out to where I'm still feeling like I can still feel the ground in it. So I've always tried to be very form fitting with my shoe, whether it be something superstitious or something that I would call my fave, or something that just in my general rotation of shoes.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it a little bit later when we get into the what's in the bag for one of our winners this week. So yeah, I'm just think there's got to be some science to that, and it's right now for me it's anecdotal, but I'm very interested to try out maybe a half a size lower and see how that works out on the next shoe purchase that I make. I don't know, but shoe wear is your only it's your only connection to the ground, so it's got to have
Yep.
some level of importance and how you play. Let's get into the U.S. Women's Open and talk about the, I guess, seemingly carnage that was this tournament. And earlier in the week, day one, we saw Nelly Korda really struggle on par three. That was playing tough with water up front. One of the signature holes on that particular course, and ended up pulling a 10 on that particular hole. Unable to get it up and down, dropped in front of the green, kept coming up short and back in the water. Finally got up there and finished out the hole. And I think she was a really good sport about it. She was being lauded on social media about her demeanor and just not really pitching a fit, throwing clubs, etc. I don't think that's in her personality either. I saw her post something as well on Instagram about it, just really lighthearted and, 10 out of 10 or something like that, referencing the number. And I think that's why she's lovable. That's why I think people really do tend to just really like her and root for her. What'd you think about? We'll talk about a lot of the notable cuts, but what do you think about the recent struggles with Nelly? I know we knew it was going to come at some point, but what do you think about her performance in particular?
Uh, oh, I wouldn't call it struggling. I mean, I just feel like she puts a lot of pressure on herself as the number one golfer. And then a lot of people had eyes on her anyways, because she's trying to sew up player of the year, stuff like that. I mean, things she's already going to be winning, but a lot of people were just putting the pressure on her from the outside. So I wouldn't call it a slump. I wouldn't call it anything like that. I feel like just one bad week where a lot of pressure just until built up, and then I don't know. I felt like she really just didn't have her head in it, because all the range stuff seemed the same, like all the the media and stuff before in the practice rounds. Again, she seemed real lighthearted, like you said. I mean, she was real um just real giggly and stuff. I mean, she had Megan King in her group, so not the
Yeah,
best of
talker.
friends, but the homies, and they
Yeah,
Solheim Cup teammates and stuff like that. So real comfortable team, real comfortable partnership. So game just didn't come into play. I mean, she'll be
yeah,
right back. There's three more majors,
yeah,
like we
yeah,
said. So
yeah. She
I'm
ended
not
up 10
really
over.
looking into it.
Tried to fight back on day two, wasn't able to pull it off. Rose Zhang also ended up at 11 over, missing the cut Ingrid Lingblad, college golfer. Inji Chun, 12 over. Brooke Henderson was 12 over as well. Jennifer Kupcho 12 over. Lottie Wood, who made her kind of LPGA debut earlier this year. Young player, also 12 over. Allison Corpus, 12 over. Lexi Thompson, after announcing her retirement, 13 over, which we'll get to that as well. And Lydia Ko, 13 over. So big names on the women's side. You had a couple of interesting, people on the leaderboard kind of cycling throughout the week. We saw Andrea Lee try to make a push, somebody that we're familiar with and has had, some decent runs in the past. We end up with what is her name? Sasso. Is it Mika Sasso?
Yuka Sasso. Mm-hmm.
Yuka Sasso. Forgive me. Yuka Sasso pulling it off. This is not her
Not our
first.
first major.
No, it's not. So not surprising, but hasn't really been killing it as of late. Be interesting. We've been talking about how deep the LPGA is. We've kind of just the names that we ran down. These are recent winners. These are names that are popular in the women's game. So maybe this is a resurgence for her to get her game back and start playing well again. She again just hasn't had really the greatest year. I'm just kind of cycling through her finishes. Hasn't had a lot of top hadn't had any top tens this year. She was
Yeah.
cut in the Mizuho Americas Open last week or a couple of weeks ago. So I mean this kind of came out of nowhere. She found her form, just kind of survive in advance, almost kind of March Madness like. You just kind of
Yeah.
wade through all the bodies that are falling around you and hitting the ground. So shout out to her for surviving. That's kind of what U.S. Opens tend to be. It's a little bit of carnage. You sent me a quote from Angel Yin saying she loves the U.S. Open setup and how tough it was, and that if we wanted something easier than that, could go play mini tour events. So love that attitude. Do you like the setup of U.S. Open courses? Sometimes they can go a little bit too far. What'd you think this one played like this week?
Yeah. I mean, I think course setup, like we said, is a very good combatant against the ball rollback argument, and this is a prime example of that.
Yep.
They had some rough built up. They had different cuts. They had different grasses mixed in. I mean, just a consortium of things you just have to fight through. The bunker edges weren't manicured. You definitely had to play around that as well.
Yep.
The rough was rough. It was penalizing. That's what it was supposed to do. You play to take advantage of the fairways. You your course setup and your course management that you did throughout the week is going to be what gets you through it. That's why you know your numbers. That's why you know your carries. That's why you know what way to aim up the fairways and stuff like that. Because again, you saw the caroms. These were heavily sloped. Some of these fairways, right to left to right. So sometimes you're hitting a draw into it to make sure it doesn't go into the rough. Sometimes you're hitting a fade into some of these slopes to make sure it stays in the fairway. So yeah, I'm if it's championship golf, it's major golf. I definitely think the prize needs to be a little bit more worth it. So I'm all
Mm-hmm.
for tough conditions. And again, even if you didn't play it with that crazy or rough, you could still play the course tough as it did. There's a lot of layup shots that you had to hit, even with it being shorter, not necessarily, 420, 430 longer par fours for the ladies' tees, but things like 408, but bunkers where your landing spot is for drivers and stuff like that. Having to play
Right.
to specific yardages, longer clubs in the greens with 12 stem, 13 stem. So
Right.
having
And
to
I even
fight,
saw some tougher pin placements where a bunker would, you had to bring it in high,
right,
and try to hold the green. Yeah.
being underneath the hole, making sure that you're not putting downhill because again, slippery, right to lefters, left to righters. But when it's rolling 12s, it's hard to stop that going downhill. Even if you're putting for birdie, you still have to, just kind of coax it down the hill. So I'm all
Yep.
for it. Hopefully, in the next 2 weeks, the Pinehurst has set up something similar as far as I know the greens will be. They have a
Go
lot
get
of
slick.
they right, yeah, they don't have any rough, but the pine straw and stuff, it'll be something to work towards. So yeah, I'm always about it. And it's just like what we said. There's no reason to roll back the golf ball when the course conditions can play a part in that and playing a part in the difficulty of how people are scoring anyway. So I'm
Right.
all for it.
Yep. Tighten the fairways, grow up the rough. To fight against the long hitters. There's all kinds of ways to combat and go against what humans do, which is evolve and get better. So shout out to that. So again, I kind of mentioned it a second ago. Earlier in the week, we hear from Lexi Thompson that she is going to be reducing her schedule down, at least from a full time schedule. I think she kind of
Yeah.
hedged on just a full retirement. Citing the need to go live life, and it's I find myself conflicted with Lexi Thompson. I don't think there's any doubt that she's a talented young lady. Clearly going pro at age 15. Made her major debut at the U.S. Open at age 12. A young prodigy, very good at golf. Been playing. Since she was 5 years old, and I think she said she played her first tournament at 7. So this is really all she has known. Since she's been conscious of thought. Um, I want to say that when you look at her career, given the talent level that she's exuded, right? We saw her play with the men and almost make a cut last year on the PGA Tour in Las Vegas, that she has typically underperformed to her talent level. She's one of the longer ladies in the game. I don't really what have seen from her years ago to what I see today, I don't see a lot of evolution in her game and growth. I don't think she's ever been a super great she's high speed player, gets a lot of spin going, able to bring it in high, but not necessarily great with irons. You know, you can tell that the mental part of the game has gotten to her. She's been very open about fighting the mental battles of the game. I think she's a little too busy reading the comment section on um, social media because she references that quite a bit. So, I mean, it's a loss for the game. When you look at somebody who's 29 years old, should be in the prime of their playing days, and then here we are winding it down. I think she leaves room to maybe make a comeback full time at some point. Maybe taking a less than full time schedule allows her to play better golf with herself. What do you think about it overall? Those are my thoughts. Again, it's a loss for the game, but I also think that she didn't necessarily maximize the ability that was in her.
Um, I mean, she won a major. She won for 7, 8, 9 seasons in a row. I mean, I think she outkicked the coverage. When you start playing golf at that age and it's all you've ever done, there's a lot of expectations. I mean, it's everybody thinks you're going to be just the next best thing, but if your vices are still going to be your vices and you don't ever work through them, then I mean, there's just nothing that you can say about that. I mean, she's always been a mediocre putter. I mean, and just like we were talking about, I mean, the mental stuff, she focuses on the things that she shouldn't be. But, when you're always in the spotlight, you're getting interviewed at the age of 12, these things are going to be underlying issues. So, I mean, I, hats off to what she has done for the game and how she's grown it. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a loss to the game because there's so much young and upcoming talent that'll just be able to not, I mean, unfortunately, overshadow it really. But Lexi Thompson will always have a place in the game. She'll be able to get sponsors exemptions. And like you said, she's not fully retiring. She's just not full time anymore because she wants to go live a life. Again, you know, we can't speak on that because we're men. We'll be able to start a family, live a life, still work, still do all these other things. If she's going to start a family, that's going to take, a year off of her life just to produce a life, have that time to just be a mom before she gets back into the game. those are things that we just can't speak on because that's not something that we exist in our lives. We're just the dad that provides. We don't have to go through that labor and stuff like that. So just a different perspective. She's a woman that's just respect to her for knowing her lane is pretty much ran out in golf, and that she wants to start doing something else. It might be golf commentating. She might start walking. She might be an on-course commentator because somebody needs to take over for Karen Stupples anyways. But that's a different discussion for a
Get
different
off
day.
Karen's back. I don't know. I'm not a super fan of. I think we no, I don't think we talked about this last year during the Solheim Cup, and the sensitivity that Lexi kind of displays. There was an incident where she had a chip and it just did not come out the way that it was supposed to, and that what maybe pro golfer would achieve 90% of the time. And then in the press conference, she struck back pretty hard at a straightforward question. And at the time, her captain, Stacey Lewis, defended her, and that's cool. But you could just tell the sensitivity level. And I think as she I was researching this week, I don't think she has a lot of close, compadres in the game. Doesn't seem like she's made a lot of friends out there. And I don't know, sometimes that's personality driven. She did allude to playing pretty much every week. And I think that's also um, I think you get to the point where you're 29 years old and you may not know who you are. And I think that may go into some of her decision making and just kind of being out of touch with herself and what's realistic for herself, by not taking breaks. And why play every week if you need to go live your life, as you said. So I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic. Like you said, it's different for women. They have the biological clock that keeps ticking, and she did mention starting a family. Doesn't seem like she has any, at least that we publicly know about. Relationship prospects out there. She mentioned her dog, and that was about it. So I'm interested to see how this one will play out long term, and how she fares, and what the remainder of her career looks like. But I don't know. It seems like she's got like a skincare business out there that she's probably going to dive deep into, and maybe push. So she says she does fitness stuff as well. She's got a couple of different avenues to keep making income, outside of hitting the golf ball. So we'll see how that all goes. Moving on. I don't think there was anything else from LPGA that I caught. Any other stories that you want to bring up from the women's game this week?
What's funny? I was just thinking about it. We looked at the miscut notables. Lynn Grant missed the cut,
Oh, she
came and
wasn't on
gone.
there, huh?
Well, she
Did
was
I miss her
closer
on?
to making the cut. She was like 9 under, 9 over, or something like that. She was inside of Nelly, but right on the cusp as well. But yeah, I mean, just came and gone. I mean, hopefully she regains that strength as well. I mean, as far as playing goes, we've talked about the off the court stuff. Still very, still very, very off about that. But the talent is still there. So hopefully
Yeah,
it'll come back around, and she'll play worth it down. I mean, she's made the move over here. She
yeah,
is
she's
full
full
on
time.
LPGA. Yeah, she's not over there on the LET. I mean, she probably had some off week where she's back home playing over there, or like the home field event. Like if it was some like in Sweden or something, or Switzerland or whatever. Sweden, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, because her flag is turquoise and yellow, the cross. Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, just
But I think
names that
as
stick
for
out.
her,
Angel Yin missed the cut.
yeah, for from a talent perspective, we know she's. I mean, she's unique, right? When you look at her swing
Right.
the club, she looks like a generational talent, just different. But
Yeah.
with so many other young stars coming up, it's easy to miss that window, right? Where
Yep.
you have a shot at domination, and then that window easily closes. I mean, we've talked about it week over week. The names
Yep.
that keep winning, or having it, giving themselves a chance to win. We talked about it pre-show and then didn't even bring it up. Minji Lee kind of found her
Nigeria, yeah,
form for 3 days, and then unfortunately had a tough day today. She's still young and gunning. Hannah
yeah,
Green, Nelly Corda, Allison Corpus, Lilia Vu, who's been injured this year. There's so many names, and again, I hope Lynn Grant finds her form again to be able to recapture the magic that we saw from her just a couple of years ago. Hell, last year. She
last
looks
year.
good in certain spots. Yeah. So anyhow, um, let's get into PGA stories. One quick one before we get into this week's winner. I saw an article about Rory McIlroy and his divorce. Um, Playing a little bit of hardball with his soon to be ex wife. It seemed, we got the news a couple of weeks ago, but it seemed
You
like
know,
they had been on the outs for quite some time, which of course most divorces don't just happen out of nowhere. But it seems like they were having a hard time with getting his then wife to sign paperwork and move forward with the divorce. It very much seems like there's a prenuptial agreement in place, and
yep,
had a process server finally hit her with the paperwork, really saying, hey, you're under a timeline, get this stuff signed before you lose out on certain opportunities that are available to you. Seemed
yeah,
very direct, and found out that he's also using the divorce lawyer that Tiger Woods used as well. So no surprises there. They're running the same circles, they're buddies, they're tight. Tiger,
Florida
even
court,
after losing, yeah, whatever he lost, maybe half, whatever it was at the time, he's billionaire status at this point again. So,
yeah.
um, came out of it okay. So, what do you think about that story, man? And the Rory McIlroy, they also did a head nod to the possibility of him and Amanda Balionis dating.
Yeah, yeah, we talked about the Amanda Balionis thing. Don't know if that's necessarily the smartest idea. As you said, I agree. And I already told you who I would prefer him with anyways, but that's neither here nor there. Um, yeah, apparently his wife was mad that he was playing a lot of golf.
Ma'am, that's how he earns money, but okay.
Swear, swear to God, Rod, that is what has come out. And I'm like, you used to work in golf. I mean, like her name was known before. Like it wasn't, famous, but she was known in like golf production. She was in the like the behind the scenes producing and like in that type of role. So like that's pretty much how Rory even came about knowing who this person was. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I don't understand the change of heart. But my guy is just now 35. He's got
Right.
15 years of really good golf still in front of him. So I don't know if she thought it was going to slow down or if she was going to take priority over this legendary swing and career arc he's got going
Right.
on. So
Right. He's not exactly Tom Brady near the end of his career, in and out of
right,
retirement, like him and Giselle Bundchen. I mean, like you said, Rory's in his prime. Why would you expect him to play less? I mean, he takes
right.
extended breaks sometimes. I don't know.
And I was
That's
gonna say
weird.
he just like what we were saying about him and Tiger being buddy buddy, he runs like the same type schedule. He 19, 20 events. He not out here going crazy. He plays the big events. He
No.
plays some of the fun stuff like around like the Scottish Open. He'll play some or the Ireland Open and stuff like that because he still holds the DP World Tour card. He
Right.
finds a way to play in his home country and over there in the United Kingdom, and then I think he still makes it over to the PGA Championship from time to time when the schedules aren't conflicting. But yeah, I
Right.
mean, it's not like he's out here playing 34 out of 38 weeks. And y'all are
I think.
all, and he has a house in Florida with y'all. So what's up?
Yeah, I wonder if it went left when he was super involved with the PGA Tour policy board
True. Yeah,
and spending a lot
stretching
of
his time
time
out. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if that was when things started to crumble for them, right? Because he spent a good year and a half invested in that, taking calls. The tour seemed to really respect Rory. I'm no, I mean, it's been a little weird with him trying to get back on the board and that being blocked. So maybe there is a little bit of a schism now, but up to that point, Rory has been a go-to. He's very well liked on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
So you can imagine people having him on the phone left and right, meetings, etc. So it's unfortunate, divorces happen. I mean, 50% of marriages turn into divorce. There's a lawyer that I watch, and one of his top followers, his username is "Marriage Causes Divorces," and it's true. So I think he'll land on his feet. She'll land on her feet financially. They'll both
We'll
be
do the
okay after it's all over.
co-parenting. Yeah, we'll be fine.
Yeah, it's happens every
We'll
day,
see.
unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll still see Poppy. She'll make some appearances. It is what it
Yeah.
is.
Just a quick nod. The interviews with Rory and Amanda are getting kind of awkward. Today, I caught the tail end of. I was trying to mow and multitask, and I caught his post round interview with her, and there was like a mention. She said something to the fact of we talked about that off air, and then tried to kind of save it to try to not appear that it was like her and Rory talking about something off air, but it
Hmm.
was it was just awkward. And yeah, I'm hoping that doesn't end up being true. As we said offline, you don't crap where you eat. So I'm hoping that they keep that quiet or chill out and decide that that's
Yeah,
probably not the best path. I mean, if that doesn't work out, that's they're both in the industry. That could be awkward. So we'll see.
I think
More. I'm sure
Yeah,
will come out about that.
I think it's just hopefully what it was is he hopped in the chair. They talked real quick before they went live. Something as simple as that. And again,
Yeah.
she's in social media too. So she probably done heard the inklings and stuff. And so she,
Right.
not saying she plays on it, but she knows. So she probably made it a little bit awkward, like, oh, I didn't mean
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
we didn't
When you're conscious of it.
right. I didn't mean for it to sound like that. Oh,
Bobby said
sure.
50% includes the repeat offenders. People remarried
Facts.
like 5 times, probably like 40%. That's probably true. You're right. Um,
In
there's
the
a
family.
lady that works. There's a lady that works for me. She's been married like 5 times. No shit. I'm like, come on now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, super awkward out here. All right. So this week's winner, Robert Bob MacIntyre, got his first PGA Tour win. Scrappy player, I think is how I would describe him. Right? He's not
Yeah.
majestically long. Hell, when he played with Ryan Fox on Saturday, Ryan Fox was just blowing it by him. He was
Oh, getting
flying.
cooked.
It was like, damn,
Getting cooked, bro.
we were in a totally different part of the fairway when Ryan Fox would hit it.
Oh yeah,
Um,
and he plays
but
fast.
so
I love Ryan Fox.
yeah, I know, right? He looks like just like a regular dude. I'm like, he's built like me. I got to get
He
my
like a
stuff
better Beef
together.
Johnson. He like a better Beef
Right,
Johnson than me. Great
right, and
personality, knows his shit, plays his game. He ain't like Beef Johnson gonna hit a high draw every time it is something to be played. Ryan Fox gonna
yeah,
play that same fade every time. Ain't nothing to talk about. It's gonna be long and he gonna hit it fast. I mean, they showed this Instagram reel, 4 different events, 4 different swings, and it took him less than 10 seconds to get to the ball and hit it every time off the tee. I mean, my man is
love it.
regimented. And then like today, he was playing with Mackenzie Hughes, Canadian. They serenaded him, gave him the anthem on their hockey rink hole, number 13.
Yeah,
Ryan Fox is such a cool dude. Buddy let him sing the whole thing and didn't even like put his ball down or address it, stood back from the tee and let them have the moment. Like just a stand-up guy. and then he rips
Yeah.
it to like inside a foot on a 197 yard into the wind par three in their face. Like, bro, like
Yeah.
the dude is
Yeah.
cold.
His time is coming. I think he'll win on the PGA Tour here pretty
Absolutely.
soon. Yeah.
He's in
He's
the
been really close.
elevated events already. He's definitely on his way out here too.
Yeah. And I think New Zealand accent is probably one of the best out there. I enjoy it.
Definitely.
So,
Very
all
cool.
right. So Bob McIntyre, he's got so many variations to his name. Bob Mac, Bobby Mac, whatever you. I think you could go all day figuring out different configurations for his name. But good dude had his dad on the bag this week, which is touching for them, right? Nothing
Definitely.
like it where in those moments, and I think he referenced like, he's not gonna be able to do this forever. So good, maybe a little good karma, not like dad was doing too many calculations. Bob was doing a lot of the math. Dad was just really out
Yeah.
there carrying and motivating him.
I think that's probably what had him locked in. Is he knew he had
Yeah,
to know his own numbers. You couldn't just sit here and rely on dear old dad. Dad's not gonna be here like, yo, like you hit your seven last week, 192. I need you to hit your 7 iron 189 today on this hole. He's not gonna give him that. He gonna be there to hold the bag and be like, yeah, you got it, bud. Woo!
right.
Yeah, keep going.
Commit to that line and basic stuff. So
All right,
he's got my favorite kind of bag, and we're gonna go through his what's in the bag. He's not, even though I thought at one point in time he was a tailor-made staffer. He is not. He's
right.
a club free agent, kind of do what he wants to do. Has had a lot of variation in his bag over the years. So let's go through this one. Big old, just a regular dude from Scotland.
Just a hard
You
worker,
know,
man. It's just
not super
literally out the mud.
Yeah, not super athletic. Doesn't look like some, fantastic athlete. Just a scrappy golfer. Gets the job
Hmm.
done. Ryder Cup player. He
Yep.
gets it done. This is the kind of
Look at
bag with the covers
these backwards ass clubs,
I know.
man.
Anytime I see a lefty club, which will
God,
be
bro.
interesting. So there's a little tidbit in here about how the settings on the driver change as a lefty. So he's rocking the Titleist TSR2 at 9 degrees. He is a graphite design guy. So playing the Tour AD D1 7X
Yep.
stiff shaft or X stiff shaft um, at the D4 setting. So we reviewed this last week with Davis Riley. Pulled up the guide. So I attached it this week, so we didn't have to go shuffling for it. And so everything is kind of the reverse with the left hand settings. So he's got it in D4. I think last week when we were looking at Davis Riley, he had his in A1. And so the chart is
Yeah.
completely flipped around. Right here where the C3 is kind of where A1 was on the right hand
For right
driver.
handed.
So
Yeah.
yeah, interesting charting. Like I said last week, these sure fit hosel adjustments almost require an additional certification or you know an advanced degree to kind of adjust. There's so many changes that you can make within just the neck, and that doesn't include
Hmm.
the weighting on the back and the different slide adjustments that you can make on the Titleist driver. So interesting, but he's playing it in the standard layout there. He said, "What the heck is Bobby Mack?" Dude looks less athletic than Xander. Every time that they win, it proves you don't have to be an athlete to golf. Pull this up. Maybe only 25% of golfers are athletes. Hot take. Ah,
Mm, maybe like 40%, closer to 50%
I,
now. But like this
I think
younger generation, they be in the
it's
gym.
growing. It's growing.
Dude, they be like, they rounds be like 8 hours now. They get to the facilities early. They do their stretching. They do the workout. Like, dude, they hit the weights, little resistance bands and stuff to get going. An hour of range, then the 5 hour round. then a cool down workout. Like these dudes be locked in now. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's way different than it used to
I
be.
I think the you're not gonna see guys like Bob McIntyre winning as often
Right.
as maybe you did in the past. Just these nondescript dudes that you could just couldn't tell them the difference in a grocery store, right? If you saw Bob
Yeah.
McIntyre walking down the street, you wouldn't know what the hell. You're right. Bobby,
Bro,
dudes
look,
are getting jacked. I got to pull up the mom real quick. Um, these guys can't pull fat guys come in and throw all the hard work. Yeah, the days of those guys of the John Daly's far few and in between. We were
we're
talking
not
about
gonna
that
see
with Jake.
Colton and Oates out there no more.
No, nope. Who's the other guy whose dad played on tour? I'm forgetting his Stadler.
Craig Stagler. Yeah, Craig Stagler. Him
Yeah,
and his
those
son
days,
both are bad built.
both of them big bodies. Those days are gone. Like Jake Naps,
God bless.
those are the guys that clearly. And
Yeah.
then Rory was always a talented golfer, but when he got his body together, took off. And then mom, do you not play left-handed?
No, I don't do any of my sports left-handed, mom.
All right, back to old Bob. Cobra Aerojet
Bobby,
LS 14. Go ahead.
Bobby, we don't like cold notes over here.
Yeah, we'll have a whole segment one day. He's gonna do something that's gonna have us pull a whole Colt Nose segment.
He
Uh,
already did something today, bro. He got national Canadian man Mike Weir in the booth with him and Amanda Balionis, and he talking about Mike Weir's shoe size. Oh well, it's not
what?
many. It's not too many. The shoes aren't too big to fill, bro. You on national TV talking about this man got little feet, buddy? Not the time.
Just
Not
that's
the
just
time.
weird with the just inside baseball references that he does on air. It's like, dude,
Truly.
we're not in the room with you, guy. We don't know what's happening with these side jokes that y'all got going on. It's
And he say Luca last name wrong every time he say it. It pisses me off.
put some respect on Luca's name, bro.
Please say it right. It's Doncic. Jesus.
Okay, we're getting sidetracked with the Colt nosed hate.
I
Um,
told you straight. Yeah, Bobby strays all the time.
Cobra Aerojet LS, low spin, 14 and a half degrees. Again, continuing the graphite design. You know that shaft. I know you're
Love it.
familiar with it. You've played it before. You know the orange and the white stripes. You can see that shaft from a mile away. Very
Mm-hmm.
recognizable. Again with these backwards clubs. Stealth 2 hybrid at 19 degrees. Interesting. I mean, I like it. It's workable.
Yeah.
Um, Still rocking the graphite design Tour ADD1 105 X flex shaft. There's too many X's in there. Um, Title is 620 CBs. The interesting club. A little bit of help.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a player's iron. Squatty head though. But again, you see the weighting on there. True Temper Dynamic Gold Tour issue, the X100, a little bit lighter on the True Temper side. So got to get all the speed he can get. Um,
Yep.
just trying to pull every little yard he can out of the equipment. So pretty straightforward there, and he's rocking that 4 through pitch and wedge. I didn't put it on here, but the full set.
Mm.
Using their pitch and wedge as well. Then you get into his wedges, playing the Titleist Vokey SM9s. Again, another guy that hasn't really transitioned to the SM10s, but again, mixed bag. Rocking the 50 at 8 degrees of bounce, 56. And then we move to 60. I didn't have time to go research this True Temper Dynamic Golf Onyx shaft. Do you know anything about that one?
Newer shaft. Do not know much about it.
Okay.
Do not know much about it.
Maybe in the post edit I will add in some information here. So insert more info here, Rod. Um,
Hmm. 50
So
degrees,
Bobby,
8 degrees of bounce. Hmm.
dang, zero
He must
tech in the
use his
CBs. They
50.
look good, but I've never been able to smack them.
I like the
Yeah, I'm gonna do
CBs.
some.
I feel,
I'm gonna do
I
some
like those
research on
with
that
a
Onyx shaft.
pretty good.
I wonder what the weighting is on that. Usually we get some kind of weighting information on that, but not today.
Yeah.
I'll have to add on to the clip from that. So yeah, I'm seeing this a lot as we've gone through bags throughout the year that people will have the SM9s, SM8s, 10s, whatever, in kind of this range. But when we get down to the 60 or 58, they're doing the wedge works. I don't know what's up with that and why they
Low
kind of
bounce.
migrate away from. It's a low. Okay, that's what it is.
Yep. 4 degrees
Okay.
of bounce, either the A grind or the T grind. Both of them have like a more rounded sole to where like it's just literally like you can open it up and play it however you want to play it. It's like a no holds bar essentially. It's like field 62. You really can just
Okay.
do whatever you want to do with it. Um, but yeah, interesting that he has more bounce on his 56 than he does on his 50. Like it's almost like he wants his 50 to dig and play it more like a traditional pitching wedge or like an iron. But his
Yeah.
56, it's high enough lofted to where I guess that's like his sand club and then like around the greens. I feel like he doesn't. I feel like when you have a wedge setup like this, I feel like you're using your 56 more than anything. It's just the
Yeah.
most versatile club in your bag to where you can play straight edge, you can play it opened, and you can use the balance if it's like in deep rough and stuff like that and still get, a nice controlled flight and stuff like that. So, I mean, Buddy is dialed. It's just
Yeah.
crazy to me.
Yeah. I love the fact that he's just a free agent, right? We get to see
That's true.
them truly dig into what fits them, right? You don't there's no holds barred. You get to pick what you want to pick, what works for you. You're not, married to one manufacturer and what's in their lineup. I love this. I love the free agent
Yeah.
bags. Moving on to his putter. This one I laugh because we've seen this putter now with Rory, with Scotty, all kind of in the TaylorMade Nike family. Everybody's
Hmm.
kind of picking up this TaylorMade, Spider 2 or 3. It's become the hot putter. It's got a lot of tech for a putter, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
you can pick whatever weighting you want. Um, you feel a lot of confidence with the Spider in your hand that you can really strike it anywhere on that face. It's very forgiving. And you're not, it's hard to make a bad stroke, right? You kind of get
Yeah.
what you're going to get with your inputs with this putter.
I mean, I
And
agree. I
he's,
mean, you was using that for a while. I mean, you used it for a while. I mean, remember it had that big run with
yeah,
Jason Day, DJ, all them guys. They were using it originally when it wasn't hollowed out in some of those areas, and it was pretty big and pretty clunky.
yeah,
But it had the three different face plates of degrees of reception. The maroon one was like in the middle, the gray one was the most firm, and then the black one was the most forgiving or the softest or something like that. I can't really remember how they matched up, but I remember that's how it used to work. I mean, they've
yeah.
long had a good run. So I mean, they keep making a good product, and nothing wrong with going away from it.
That's right. And just as a quick nod, he's also played around with some Odyssey putters. He's had the two ball. He's got this kind of custom Odyssey 7T that he's played with. So he just goes with what works. He's had a couple of
Yeah,
different putters in the bag. So um,
all of them are similar though, as far as the stroke that he wants to input. Though, straight
right.
back, straight through, more of a square to square. So he at least knows how his alignment works and what works best for him and his putting stroke. So he is a
Right.
dialed.
The bladed putter is becoming the dinosaur on the professional ranks. We're
You
seeing
just really
less
got
and
to be an
less.
artist.
Yeah, we're seeing less and less bladed putters. We're not even seeing mallets or half mallets. We're seeing like full big body putters these days. I can't even say the last what's in the bag that we had that somebody was still rocking a blade. It's been a while.
Yeah, no need to rock it.
Yeah. Titleist Pro V1X, no surprise. I mean, it's pretty
Yep.
standard. So before we hopped on, I don't know what I was listening to, but it was probably a commercial in between um, the coverage and Chrome Tour, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago with Xander. That ball has come a long way, and they were touting that the Chrome Tour is now, longer than the Pro V1X. It had me kind of like, let me go buy a sleeve and see what they're talking about. It's got me tempted to go retest them out, but
Yeah,
rocking the Pro V1X is a tried and true. We talked about it last week with Davis Riley, how damn good the X has become, and that it's almost to me better than the standard Pro V1 at this point. I actually prefer it between those two, but no surprises here. And a new addition talked about. I referenced it earlier. Um, Bob rocks the Nike Victory Zoom 3. I have never owned a pair of these. Every year, they've
never.
clearly been releasing this one for a while. I feel like with Rory playing these and relying on these for many years, um, Bob also has routinely worn these for the last few years. I feel like this is the year I always thought it was too narrow. It looks narrow. I'm sure that's a misconception in my part. I feel like I'm gonna buy and review a pair of these this year. Have you ever tried these on? Anything? Any experience with the Zoom 3?
No, I
Okay.
way too narrow for my foot.
I know
Um,
it looks narrow. I can't get around that part. I'm probably going to have to test them out in store first, which usually I
yeah,
buy a lot of stuff without sight unseen. But this is one that before I do it, I would want to make sure it's not super narrow.
facts. There was one. There is a Nike shoe that maybe it was the Nike Infinity Tour or something like that that came out this year. I like the body style on it. I don't know. I'll send you a link or something like that when I remember. But yeah, I don't know. Rory puts these on, and they look like platform boots, and I'm like, bro, no way he's like 6'2" now because of these shoes. Can't.
Okay.
No.
So that is regular average looking Bob McIntyre's what's in the bag, y'all. Okay. So this comment right here. So speaking of shoes, Team Wide Feet, Air Pegasus 89 are my new fave. So I've been dying to try these, and they're coming out with some nice colorways for the
Yeah.
Pegasus, man. They dropped that US Open colorway. It looks like a little bit of I don't know, it's like it's a light gray leopard, and then it's got some like blue hints to it. I'm
Hmm.
probably gonna have to get a pair of those. That nice call out, Bobby. I've been hesitant
Yeah.
to pull a trigger. I haven't seen anybody playing with them.
Decent price point too. Oh,
Oh, for
um,
sure.
Nike Air Zoom Infinity Tour. That's the shoe. That's the
Okay,
shoe.
you talking about the
The hit.
not the you talking about the Brooks Koepka ones? Those
Yes.
with the air bubble near the front.
Yes. Yes. That's an
Okay,
air bubble.
yeah. And the original design of those, I tore that one up because that thing traps dirt because there's like a little plate underneath. I don't know about the new ones, but there was like a plate on the original right before it gets to the air bubble. It would just trap every piece of dirt and gunk in there. I was like, this is a horrible design flaw. Every time you play, it just looked gross. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I have too many shoes, but I'm like, dude, I need to do some new reviews, and there's some decent stuff coming out. I know FootJoy's got stuff on clearance, so they're about to drop some new lineups, and yeah, let's see here. They clean easy. He's 6'2".
See, I
I'll put
told
him.
you. I told you, making you taller, bro.
um, Cool. That's it on the golf side. I got some other random stuff that not on our official list. Anything else you want to talk about golf wise?
Um, no, not that I remembered off the top of my head right now.
All right, hot topic. Or
Okay.
controversial. So, Caitlin Clark, she's out here in the
Yeah.
WNBA taking a beating.
Okay.
Chicago Sky got in her, kind of a cheap shot. She wasn't looking. Young lady comes up, knocks her down. We've seen a lot of hard screens on Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
A lot of people claiming that she's overrated. Um, what do you think, man? I guess let me preface this with one statement, and then so I saw Matt Barnes of All the Smoke, um, you know, podcast or whatever, talking about where are her teammates in all of this stuff that happens with Caitlin Clark. Her team,
Right.
the Indiana Fever, are 2-8 currently, bottom of the league. She's out there getting beat up. You don't see people running to her rescue. And he's like,
Right.
where are y'all at? And listening to his point of view on it, he's like, I was that enforcer. I was that guy. You didn't pick on Kobe. Whatever star was on his team, I was the one that was going to
Right.
run up and get in somebody's face. And in my head, I said, this kind of makes me have similar feelings, even though golf is an individual sport. The same way that people feel about Lexi Thompson is the same way I think people feel about Caitlin Clark. The fact that no one runs to her rescue, I think she's an asshole. I don't know, man. I could be reading that wrong. I just don't think she's very beloved in the locker room. What do you think?
I I think just because of the last 2 years and how she has pretty much transcended the women's game and how it's played and how some of these guards, play basketball and stuff like that in the women's game, as far as distance and, volume and stuff like that, it's different. I'm not saying I'm a fan or not a fan of it. I'm just saying I kind of see where Matt Barnes is coming from. Like
Yeah,
think I don't think she's not liked. I just feel like there's a slight undertone of hate just because she's come in as a rookie, and whether it be in the works ahead of her coming in or not, things like chartered flights, things like increased salaries, things like that, things that, just with recognition and eyes on the game now in these last recent years, I think they're a little bit there's a little bit of resentment there because where was this before? Because we've
yeah,
had stars like Aja Wilson, we've had literally legends like Candace Parker. None of them, kind of made those same footprints, and not saying substantially better, but easily better in a lot of different assets and a lot of different aspects of the game of basketball, leadership and things like that. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I agree with that too, Bobby. I feel like she's gonna get her wings, she's gonna get her little run of how she needs to proceed. Some of the clips I've seen, I've like prime example, the one with Kennedy Carter, the one that gave it a little cheap shot, was talking.
Uh-huh.
They was chipping. That's women's basketball, bro. They've always played feisty. They've always played like that. Anytime you've ever watched it, even when we were in high school, that's how they played. It's not the
Yeah.
best product, but it is always going to be a gritty match. So I
I
just
I
felt
think
like
the
it was
part
kind of
that
like that,
yeah, if they were
and she's
going
just
at it,
flopping a little bit.
I don't like the whole if you're gonna chirp, if you're Caitlin Clark and you're gonna chirp, don't
You
throw
got
the
to be able
stone
to
and hide
accept
your
that.
hand.
Yeah.
Just you can't be out here throwing stones and then when the attention turns your way, you tuck your hands behind your back. That's not cool for me. If you're gonna be about it, be about it. Don't cry and whine. If you're low key talking crap and you're that scrappy, gal, be that scrappy gal. live
Yeah,
that life. That's my thing,
yeah,
right? I think this. I mean, here's the deal. I know what you were saying in terms of if all these other players preceded her and these benefits weren't bestowed upon them. The, sometimes we need that, right? Sometimes you need moments, you
agreed.
need individuals to kind of lift the lift the tide for everybody. There's been moments on the NBA side that have lifted, there was Magic and Bird in the early 80s,
Facts.
preceded 6 years later by Michael Jordan coming in and taking over the league. After that, took another, at the end of the Jordan era, we saw LeBron coming in and kind of
Yes.
taking the mantle. There always has to be some transcendent person, and they may not be liked, they may not be loved, but if it helps everybody else get paid more, look, just live with it, right? You may hate her, take the benefits, right? Because we saw the result of Tiger's impact on
I was about to
golf.
say, prime example,
He,
Tiger and Arnie, right? Just full circle
yeah,
moment.
completely changed how people, the marketability of the game of golf, drove up purses, etc. That people are still benefiting from today, right? The fact that
Hmm.
we're talking about live and the money aspect of it, that's a direct result of Tiger. And
Yeah.
you still had guys that, Fuzzy Zeller, that was still crap talking about Tiger even though he was whooping his ass on the court. So I get it. There's always going to be a level of hate, or that people that think she hasn't earned it, or thinks her game is, she's just a 3-point shooter and they can't respect it. Like, what else does she
Yeah.
bring into the game? So she'll have to continue earning that respect from her teammates first. If they don't respect her, she's got to figure out that part of the puzzle. And then, I think people that, right? If we see her teammates running in to protect her after these conflicts, I think that changes the perception around the league, right? That
Yeah.
shows that she's won people over in her own locker room. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that evolves and changes. But it's got me wanting to watch more WNBA these days now. So again,
Yeah.
if she's bringing eyes to the product, she's bringing eyes to the product.
Yeah. Let me just also say, in continuation with that, Cameron Brink, number 2 pick, Angel Reese, lottery pick 2. They got hard fouls. They got interviewed. They said, all right, play ball. Or Angel Reese did. Cameron Brink, she got it back in blood herself, which I always respected about Cameron Brink. Cameron Brink, I feel
Right.
like Cameron Brink gonna be really, she gonna be next up as far as like big men and like big women and stretch fives and stuff like that. She's got the 3 ball. She's got, versatility as far as guarding up, and then she's got length. As soon and people try to push her around because she's slighter, but she's been playing like that her whole life. She's been a long, lanky player, so she knows how to use that. And I think once people develop that type of stuff, I think they'll get more acclimated to her game too. But I think Cameron Brink, she's got a lot to offer as far, and then like Angel Reese too. But I mean, this rookie class in general is gonna take the WNBA to another level. There was a
Yeah.
lot. There was so much good basketball coming out. It's not just the first 2 or 3 picks like it usually has been. This is like a really actual good draft class. So the more, and I think it's telling you that because there's so many eyes that are actually reporting on it. There's so many articles about it. Now there's eyes on it, just like what we were saying. So
Yeah.
I think it's all gonna be. I think it's all gonna work out. They're a little bit salty because she came in and she's got all this attention, but I just think it's a good point. I just think it's a good time for people to understand, like, hey, well, now that we got the vision, now it's time for y'all to show up and show out why she shouldn't be getting showcased. And let's get all
Yeah.
these other names out there. So I think
It,
it's just a good
it's
step
the same
regardless when they're
story.
just getting something.
It's
Yeah.
the same story that we saw from the LPGA. The ladies have, if you've gotten the eyes on you right, you have the summer to yourself. Y'all are going to be playing all summer. get the Instagram going, the pregame walk-ins with the outfits and all that
Yep.
stuff. Present yourself, sell
Keep it
yourself
going.
as a product. Um, so opportunity for the not LPGA, but the for the WNBA to market itself. Use Caitlin Clark as a vehicle. Cut the bullshit. But hell, like I said, every time something happens, the social media stuff stirs up, so it's doing something.
Yeah.
Last thing, because you're over there sweating your socks off. Pick NBA Finals pick this Thursday. Keep it concise. How many games? Who's your winner?
Mavs in 6.
I don't disagree. I was gonna say the same thing, but it's hard picking against your hometown. It's hard
It's
picking.
hard.
Yeah,
Mavs in 7. Oh, you doubt them? You don't think they're gonna get it done? Mavs in 5. That's too cocky. Mavs
yeah.
in 6. It's a perfect little. I mean, I want him to. I want it to be disrespect. I want it to be Mavs in 5. I really want him to show the mismatch, stuff that we got going on. I mean, they haven't played us again. I mean, OKC played us once since the trade. Minnesota played us. They didn't play us with Kyrie in the lineup at all, except for one. And then, I mean, there's just so many different aspects of this that's gonna. I mean, Coach Kidd stepped up his coaching level, the feistiness in defense. There's accountability on the defensive end. You
Yeah,
can't ISO Luca and Kyrie like you used to. And then even if you do get by them, we
there's
got
help.
help. We got help. Everybody's rotating, they're helping. We got a bench that's actually that again. I've spoken on this before. 2011 Mavs probably the most complete team you'll see in a while. This is what it looks like when everybody knows the role, when everybody plays to that role
I
and
think they're
plays it
this is
spectacularly.
I think this team is more talented than the 2011 team. So
Easily more
th-
skilled. Easily more
look,
skilled. It's a
I,
matter of
I'm gonna
grit
tell you.
now.
I'm gonna tell you the key to the series for me. If Derek Jones can hit the corner three, it's not even close.
Yeah,
If
if
he
PJ
if
Washington
they
it's his as an OKC series.
yeah, they're gonna make Kyrie and Luca pass. They got it a little too easy in this last series versus Minnesota. A lot of high screens and rolls, and they were able to kind of get some backside action, going. They had a lot of combos going off of that high screen and roll.
Yeah.
But something that developed was Derek Jones getting a lot of wide open shots. He's got to hit those. If he capitalizes, I I think the 5 can be an option. It's still a long shot. I think it'll be a really good competitive series. That's been the
Yeah.
good thing about these last, the finals for the East and the West. All pretty close games for the most part, right?
Yeah.
I mean the last game against Minnesota was clearly a blowout. I mean from the beginning, you could tell the Mavs were not playing around. They were not
They
going
didn't
back to
they just
Dallas to play another game.
yeah. Minnesota just didn't want to
Again,
get swept.
yeah, exactly. They shot their wad in game 4. So Mavs in 6. Let's get it Thursday. Couple more days to wait. I was dreading the long distance between the last game and this Thursday, but the rest I will take it. So
Yeah, I'm okay with the rest. Yeah.
yep. So next week in golf, the Memorial, beautiful course. Love seeing that course on
Elevated
TV
event.
every year. Elevated event, so we'll get the stars out again. The ladies are teeing it up again, back to back weeks. They're not sitting it out. So we're in the damn smack of golf season. It's exciting, good stuff happening. We got the U.S. Open the week after that. It's fast and
Yep.
furious, man. We're almost done with this thing. It's quick. So, all right, y'all. Bitter Bros Golf Show. We do this damn thing every week. Come check us out. Hit that subscribe button. Become a member if you're not already. Um, yeah, support your boys. I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
Peace.